Right.
All right, good evening. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the MSAD 75 Board of Directors. Tonight's Thursday, December 11th. And we are going to get right into it. So I'm going to have Heidi start with a roll call. Before we do, if anybody's here who wants to make public comment, here, please sign up. There's a sign up at the podium. And if there's no one signed up, you will not be able to participate in public comment. So with that, Heidi, have at it.
Okay, William Beatty,
Present.
Andy Beacon,
Present.
Holly Kavner. Okay, Jessica Damon,
Present.
Tony Goncalves,
Present.
Gregory Greenleaf, Hudson Hayward,
Present.
Mary Hobson,
Here.
Lee Kulis. Here. Ryan Larson,
Here.
Jim Moulton,
Present.
Kim Pacelli. Here. Amy Spelke,
Here.
Frank Wright. Absent, okay. Thank you.
All right, with that, if you would all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Thank you. Next, we have adjustments to the agenda. I believe that there was one adjustment that we added here this evening that was to include an update on the Athletics Ad Hoc Committee that we missed having in here. I think that was all of them. So I'd entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous. Thank you. And then keeping this moving, where you have public comment per Andy, there was no one signed up, so we will keep going. Now we have item 5, which is our consent agenda. It was a bit of a longer consent agenda this evening, but it's helping us be real efficient with the work, so really appreciate that we're doing this. And I would entertain a motion on that. Yes. Yes, absolutely. 5.7, yep. Any other comments? So I think I still need a motion to.
So
moved.
Second.
All right. Any additional comments? No. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda with removing 5.7? Opposed? That's unanimous. We will move to 5.7, which is to approve a modified job description. I would welcome a motion. And that'll open that. If we have that, we can open up discussion.
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you.
I just raised a conversation about, because I was really interested in this job and whether, I didn't know if we had it filled and what Heidi's vision for it is.
So we have it sort of filled because our human resource generalist, we have that position in the HR office. And as you remember, a few months ago, Becky retired and we've not filled that position. And so really what we did was we updated the job description so that our HR specialist can also take on some of the duties that were in the position of Becky when she retired. That's really all that's doing. And then if you want to know more about the actual job, I mean, the things that she'll be working on are board related items. If I send her things in onboard, she's already been trained in onboard, working on that. Minutes as needed. She is going to do some communication stuff that's in the job description, meaning that she's going to be looking for things that need to be brought forward to me so that I can then maybe do some researching around things, all those types of things in addition to the job that she currently has. And we've spent a lot of time developing the job description to make sure that it was a reasonable job description for that position.
What's this person's name?
Tessa Kingsley.
Okay.
Yep.
Any additional? All right, seeing no more questions. All those in favor? Opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you. Next, we will move on to recognitions and acknowledgements. We have a moment of silence here that we'd like to have first for Julie Ann Purdy, who was a Mount Ararat Middle School librarian for 17 years. All right, thank you. And if anybody would like to say anything after any of these, please feel free to raise your hand and just let me know if you'd like to add anything. Next, we have another moment of silence in memory of Jeremy Lavoie, a 2024 Mount Ararat graduate who passed away November 26th, 2025. Thank you. And one more here that we'd like to have is a moment of silence in memory of 12-year-old Braden Callahan of Rockland, who passed away on November 21st, 2025. Thank you very much for those. Next, we'll have board announcements and correspondence, and we have none added to the agenda this evening, so that'll take us to reports and presentations. First up, we have to hear a report from the student representatives to the board of directors.
Hello. So I'll keep it short because I do have to get running back to rehearsal for Frog and Toad, which will be in March, which we just started rehearsing for. We had a really successful weekend with the play, which I think Will is going to talk about a little more. I wanted to acknowledge the new District 3 jazz ensemble that was put together on Saturday. It was the first time that that's ever been done, and a lot of hard work and dedication went into it. Mr. Cox, our band director, did a really good job organizing a lot of it and getting the people together to do this sort of thing. So a huge thank you sort of goes out to him. And then also that winter sports are really kicking off this past week. A lot of first games. I know that I went to our first track meet. And I've seen, in my peers anyway, a really high amount of participation, which is always good to see. A lot of people who didn't do extracurriculars last year doing it this year. And I don't know what the reason behind that is. I'm around mostly seniors. Maybe people are thinking they want to do something in their last year of high school, but it's still very promising to see people getting involved on a higher level than just school itself. So.
All right, good evening, everyone. So Ashby and I are continuing to meet with Dr. Hoffman and select members of the high school student senate to address issues that would be best raised here at these meetings. And we're planning to meet about every once a month. I want to take a moment to recognize our NHS's chapter's good work last weekend with the American Red Cross blood drive. We got over 40 participants, and I want to express my gratitude to everyone who participated. And finally, as Ashby mentioned, last weekend, the Mount Ararat Stage Company completed their fall play, The Book of Will. And on behalf of the drama department, I want to express my gratitude to everyone in the community who went out to see the show and who continued to support the arts in the district. So thank you.
One more thing. We also had a band concert, and similar to NHS, there's a musical honor society called Tri-M that just instituted a chapter at Mount Ararat for the first year ever. Sort of a similar thing, not as integrated into the school because it's only the first year. But at the band concert, the inducted students were acknowledged and recognized for the acceptance. And it's cool because Tri-M will be, slowly working its way into Mount Ararat more and more, and participating in local events, I think kind of similar to how NHS does it. So that's kind of an exciting new push in the musical arts program here at the school.
All right, that's awesome. And I will just quickly add, I didn't get to make it to the play, but I heard from a ton of people within the community, and all of them were just astounded at how great it was and how well, how amazing of a job everybody did in the play. So sounds like it was just fantastic. So well done. All right. And now we're going to hear from the fifth grade class at Harpswell Community School about a tulip project and an author's tea. Oh, excuse me, second grade class. Anita's going to get me straight here. Thank you.
Good evening. For those of you that I haven't met yet, I'm Anita Hopkins. I'm the principal at Harpswell Community School. Hi, Will. It's great to see you there. All right, so let's see. I'm thrilled to be here tonight to help share news of just a couple of the many very positive educational opportunities for students in MSAD 75. You're likely already aware that our schools are currently engaged in several literacy pilots as we search for programs that best fit our district and our students. What I'm sure you don't know is that my own doctoral research involved the implementation of commercial curricular programs in ways that preserve and promote responsive teaching practices. And what that looks like includes teachers maintaining the integrity of program core instruction and learning targets while modifying or adding elements that increase relevance, engagement, and motivation for students. We have two excellent examples of that here for you tonight. Gina Marzanel and Lorraine Kingsbury are both piloting the Fish Tank Literacy Program. Gina will talk to you about a second grade project that she recently did with her class. And then Lorraine, along with some of her students, will talk to you about a fifth grade project.
You're good? Okay. Hello, my name is Gina Marzanel and I teach second grade at Harpswell Community School. I'm going to share about our author's tea that my class hosted as a culmination of our fish tank unit, which was called Cinderella Around the World. So a little bit of background knowledge about the unit. Through Cinderella Around the World, students read many different Cinderella stories from different cultures and different settings. As we read each story, we analyzed how the setting impacted the plot of the Cinderella story. And you can see some examples of some of the books that we read from different cultures. Our final project was writing our own Cinderella story set in modern-day Harpswell, Maine. We started by talking about our community to brainstorm places that our characters might like to go in Harpswell. So that we looked at some pictures, we talked about what we knew about these places, and just kind of brainstormed what our setting might look like. Then we planned, we drafted, we did a lot of revision. And then eventually we published our stories. So you can just kind of see a student example there. We started with planning our sensory details, and then eventually we drafted, and then we did a lot of revision to add action, dialogue, temporal words, and description. And then it was time for publishing. So to give you an idea of what we ended up with, we wrote a class story as like a model, and our class story was about a girl named Cindy trying to go to a 4th of July party at Mitchell Field. In the story, our fairy godmother character was a magic crab who cracked its claw to make the magic happen, and he gave Cindy a silver Subaru and beautiful party clothes because we may not wear a ball gown in our culture. Student stories included parties at Cook's Lobster House, the Harpswell Community School Playground, which I thought was really cool, Stover's Point, Little Island Candy Company, and Pammy's Ice Cream Parlor. So to celebrate our writing, we decided to hold a Cinderella Authors Tea. Families, siblings at HCS, and staff members were all invited to read our writing and enjoy some fancy cookies. At the event, each student had a compliment catcher with our writing targets listed. Visitors were asked to read their own student's writing first and then visit as many others as they could. Students' compliment catchers were filled front to back by the end of the tea. During the tea, this screen helped guide visitors through our writing process as well as some questions to ask students. We practiced these questions in advance. The next few slides are just some pictures. So this is us waiting for our guest to, so Nora's in the audience and she's right there. She's really excited. This was us waiting for our guests to arrive, and we had student greeters at the office with Mrs. Card getting ready to bring our guests down. They were just very excited. Go to the next one. The turnout was incredible. Every single student had somebody there for them, which was really, really cool. And these are just some pictures of students with their families. Really proud. Yep, there's Nora. So having an authentic audience helped motivate students to publish a high quality product. I have a couple of students who really struggle with handwriting in particular, and they were so proud to produce writing that others could read. They just really, really took their time and they were very proud. The response from families was overwhelmingly positive. They loved getting the chance to come into our classroom to celebrate our young authors. Students left feeling enormously proud with full compliment catchers to share with their families. And I'm really excited to have events like this with further fish tank units in the future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lorraine Kingsbury. I'm a fifth grade teacher in Harpswell. This is my first year in Harpswell, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to leave the details of the project to my students, but I want to give you a little background information and let you know how hard they worked before the project happened. They researched, they sketched ideas, they made a slideshow, and they gave a very detailed, wonderful presentation to our principal to get permission to do this. This idea came to them after we read our first book in our fish tank unit called Seed Folks, and I'm going to turn it over to Elena, Rory, and Alden to explain the details of the project for you.
We are so glad to be here tonight to tell you about our project. Our class was reading a book called Seed Folks. It was about people coming together to make a community garden in Cleveland. They cleaned a vacant lot and turned it into a beautiful garden. We started thinking about how we could make a positive difference in our own school community.
One but small, meaningful way we thought of is planting tulips around our school sign. We chose tulips because they are sturdy and require little to no care. We believe the flowers will make our school entrance more welcoming and colorful.
Our first step was to dig up all the weeds and grass. Then we had to dig holes, put bone meal fertilizer in the holes, and plant the bulbs. After that, we covered the holes.
We added a border. And finally, we covered the area remote.
Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed our presentation.
Thank you for having us here tonight, and we hope that you will all see tulips blooming in April, May.
Hopefully we get some photos of it in the spring when they bloom. I'd love to see the results.
Ryan, I'd also just like to encourage and say to the parents, are there parents? And kids and the teachers and the principal who've come, hearing stories, the opportunity to hear stories is such a powerful component of it. I don't know if people have seen the Maine Loves Public Schools. These stories would be wonderful, either on Facebook, but go to mainelovespublicschools.org. Take a look, and these are stories. I love them both. Thanks so much for being here.
All right. Yes, Will.
I just wanted to say really quickly, I'm a proud graduate of Harpswell Community School, and it's so great to see how the teachers and Ms. Hopkins there are continuing to inspire curiosity with reading and writing. And those are skills that are going to continue to serve the students there throughout their whole academic careers. And I just wanted to say to the student presenters, that takes a lot of guts to go up there. I know I presented to the school board when I was about your age, and I was pretty scared. So I just wanted to say, what a great job.
Thank you very much, Will. Thank you all. Have a great night. All right, Heidi, you are up with your superintendent's report.
Okay, so there's a couple things that I wanted to share tonight, and the first thing is I wanted to talk a little bit about our strategic plan goal that we really have taken a significant step forward in really working towards building our multi-tiered system of success, or MTSS. I have to acknowledge Amanda Hersey, who has done a lot of work with this, and then Amy Hall, and then as well as the principals. Everybody is reading a book, and I left it on my desk tonight, but it's about inclusive practices. And really the foundation of this work is on equity and best practice. And it really relates to what we have done as early as yesterday, contracted with two main leading experts in the field. And both of them teach at the University of Maine at Farmington, Dr. Kate McLeod and Dr. Jessica Apgar. So Dr. McLeod and Dr. Apgar are recognized as leaders across the state, and they're currently co-lead the Inclusive Education Project in partnership with the Maine Department of Education. Our team got in there really quickly and have not stopped since they have been learning these skills. So they are working on developing a Maine State inclusive education framework, and their audit is what they're going to do with us. It's going to provide us with an external expert analysis of our current services, delivery policies, and instructional structures or practices. So this audit's going to serve as a roadmap for our work, which is in direct alignment with our strategic plan, identifying exactly where our gaps are and how we can better serve every learner. So we'll be sending high-level announcements out to our staff next week to introduce this partnership, and we are incredibly excited to have their guidance as we strengthen our district's support systems. They've also conducted similar comprehensive reviews across other Maine districts, specifically examining MTSS and special education service delivery to find the areas of strength and the need, and we're excited to be a part of this work. So I want to congratulate our district for taking this step forward. Amy Hall came and talked to you a little bit about it this fall, I think it was, when she first came. So this is being a former special ed director and special ed teacher. This is amazing. Dr. McLeod is an amazing instructor, and I can't wait to see the work that happens in the district because of it. So the only other thing that I wanted to talk about is I did have the opportunity to go to the play to see The Book of Will. I left there full of emotion. It was one of the best plays I've seen in a long time with students, and Will and Ashby were stars of the show, as well as Isaac, and I don't know all the other children's names, but boy, it was amazing. If you have not had the opportunity to go to one of those plays, you really need to. I sat right down front and I thoroughly enjoyed it, every minute of it. So good job, guys. Thank you. That's all I have tonight.
All right, the next finance report is part of this, so Evan.
All right, thank you, everyone. Is this on? Yes, it is. Okay. So this is the November recap, which is the 5th month of our fiscal year, which would say that we are targeting a 41% budget spend down, if you will. We are actually at 32%, so that's really good. That means we have a lot of room within the budget to still be flexible and agile this year, which is great. Some areas of good performance and strong performance this past month. The overall spending rate, as I said, we're at 30.2%, significantly below. And after we consider encumbered benefits, we have our projected remaining balance of $10 million. That doesn't mean that's where we're going to end the year with. It just means that's where we are right now after salaries and benefits considered. Another place where we're doing considerably well is our health insurance and dental premiums. In health insurance, we've only spent 23.8%, so 1/4 almost of our budget of 8.2 million. And for dental, we've only spent about 26 of our budget of $168,000. This is good because we are these are higher category spending areas for us, and an area of volatility, especially in the budget process. We saw last year that this was a 13% increase in our health insurance premiums. So if we can control that, we're going to be in good shape. Another area of strong performance is in student tuition and transportation. This is a very volatile category. It can change year to year based on the needs of the district, particularly in special ed. We've only spent 13% of that category, which is great news. This could change, like I said, at any moment, depending on the needs of the students that come into our district. But we did budget almost $250,000, and we are only 13% of the way through that. Some areas for improvement. If you're looking at the health insurance cash alternative, this came up last month, that is a category that we do reward our staff for not taking our health insurance. We are over that category by 217%, but that's a good thing because we pay out about $2,500 to staff who don't take the health insurance, and that saves us hundreds of thousands of dollars when staff doesn't take the health insurance. So this is a good thing to be overspending in. And we budgeted for 17,000, but we actually spent 37, and this is, like I said, an okay thing to have happen. One area of improvement that is running high is our salaries additional overtime. We do have some unfilled positions throughout the district, and that does require other staff members to pick up the slack. One area that I can think of is there's some unfilled custodial positions, and those folks just have to carry on more of the load and take overtime when those positions aren't filled. And finally, another category that does trend high right now is our equipment spending. We are at 72% expended for the year of the budget of just over $300,000. And this is high because this is a front-loaded purchase. This is something that at the beginning of the school year, we try to get our equipment needs taken care of in the summer months and through the first quarter. So this will reflect as being high. I don't expect that to go over too significantly, but it does look high compared to where we want to be of around 41%. That's what I have so far.
Any questions? All right. Oh, yes, please, Jessica.
Quick one. Curious if you know Region 10 is at 50%. I mean, it's 9% over where we'd expect. I know things fluctuate. Just curious.
Yeah, we pay that one a little bit early, just in the nature of the timing of when we pay things. This happens also with our health insurance costs to our actually not health insurance, excuse me, our property and liability. Sometimes we pay those a week or two ahead of time than when it's due, just because of the way the billing happens and the way the month closes. With Region 10, we are at 50%, but that's just contractually that this is the number that they charge us, and we're just halfway through the payments to them for the year. So we're right on track.
Cool. All right, thanks a lot, Evan. Moving on, item 10 is the board chair's report. I actually don't have anything to report, but I have a kind of request that I'm going to make in this. I think as we kind of turn the corner on the first half of the year and head to the second half of the year, I found myself thinking about what I can do with myself to help kind of leave the biggest impact when my time as chair this year is done. And I really want to continue to focus on ways to drive efficiency, reduce the workload that this can be. I appreciate what all of us do. It's a big commitment. It takes a lot of time and effort and energy. And we've begun to explore ways to, create efficiencies and make it easier to participate in this board. But I really want to work hard in these next 6 months to try to figure out things that we can do to help improve that so that all of us want to continue to do it. We're able to attract great new people to participate in this board moving forward. I just think it's crucial to the work that we do. So with that, I want to kind of ask any of you to please reach out to me. I need to hear from you guys about what you feel like the pain points are, what works well, what doesn't. I would welcome getting together for a coffee or something, or any way that you can to share thoughts that you may have on this and ways to drive improvement. I think it's important for the future, of the board and the health of the district and things, to make sure that we're attracting good people to this. So please do that. It's the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. I want, we need to hear this to make it better. So I'm very grateful for what you all are doing, and I want to make sure that there are plenty more of us in the future. So reach out to me, or I'll even maybe pick some of you and reach out to you and see if I can get a little bit of your time just to hear your thoughts on ways to do better. So that is what I have. Moving on, we will go to committee reports. First up is policy.
Yes, I won't rehash the whole agenda. We had a good meeting last month. We are sending some policies out for legal review that we felt good about after that. So that's why nothing's coming forward tonight, but we will probably start having a lot of some of our previous work start coming back to the board in January. I'll point out the two things sort of most worthy of highlight are KFR, which is our procedures for community use of school facilities. I think that the policy committee has settled in on a structure for how that policy will look. We have a very good framework in place, although not necessarily the dollar figures that are correct. And we'll be waiting to hear back from the administration on what they think about that, Sean and everybody there. So I think we've done really good work there, and that will be able to wrap up relatively soon within the context of a school year, obviously. But we're doing really well there, and that's one to reflect. And then we looked at some of the controversial issues and required instruction policies. And we sort of came to a good place on those with some extra work from Kim, who I want to call it and say thank you for. And once we get legal review, we'll bring those forward to everybody else. So, yeah.
Seeing no questions for that, Hudson, on that, you get to turn the page to finance.
Finance committee meeting. So this was our sort of like final meeting of this calendar year for the finance committee. We talked about the public feedback that we have sort of seen come to the facilities master plan work, since that really has been our primary forum for community feedback right this fall. So we discussed that pretty well and sort of talked about what our general takeaways were and what we've heard. And, and that's sort of informal relative to the more final presentation we'll actually get from that process. We sort of had an informal conversation about our perceptions, which was great. And then we sort of discussed what the upcoming process would be. And so the big one to highlight is January 5th. It's the facilities planning finance committee meeting and kick off the real hot and heavy budget season. So we're asking the facilities committee to join us along with Sean, and so we can all talk through what's on the horizon. And again, the facilities master plan is not going to be like fully complete. We're not voting on it. We're not prioritizing it in time for this budget, but this budget is sort of going to be teeing up the work of the facilities master plan. So it's still really important for us to engage with all that, even if we're not actually recommending any of the big ticket items that are looming on the horizon. So yeah, a really good meeting.
Thank you for that update and the insight. Next, we have an update on our facilities tour.
We had a balmy December 4th day. I won't bore you with all the details of the state of our schools. I'll try to highlight some of the things. Common themes that we've heard in the past as well still exist. A lot of the community schools still lack storage. That was a very big problem, very apparent. You know, some folks have to use the stage and, you know, hallway space and things like that. So that stuck out. A lot of building systems like fire alarm, security systems, camera systems. Those are slowly being added into the budget, but those things are still aging. Flex space is, I kept hearing that at every one of the community schools. There's definitely a need for flex space for that specialized instruction. So those were the themes outside the obvious, you know, building needs that we saw at each one. But, you know, some of the, I'm going down to Williams Cone. When you walk into a school, there's always a feel of, you know, of the school. You walk into this one and it's modern and new and nice. Some of the schools aren't like that. And the facilities master plan is definitely going to pave the way for us. And those feelings that I got, I can't speak for the group itself, but Williams Cone, Harpswell Community School definitely stuck out. You know, we know Bowdenham is also aging. Some of our schools are entirely serviceable, and even though they're old, and some of them, you know, we're trying to make that determination. Are we throwing good money after bad if we put money into them? So, you know, I'm just starting to set the groundwork for this group to understand that. No decisions have been made on what to do with any, but you definitely get a feel for when you walk into you know, some of our schools, their condition, just walking into them. So we did visit all the community schools. We visited the middle school, the high school. You know, Woodside definitely needs an envelope project, you know, for the exterior, but the interior of the school is healthy, very serviceable. But it will be an expensive exterior. Williams Cone, we don't have a good roadmap for, you know, all the needs of that building, you know, and how to address them versus, you know, doing something different. So that one did stick out. Middle school, the outside envelope looks great. The thing that Megan pointed out, she got new windows in the school. So some of the interior work was done on the walls. They got fresh paint, and so now it makes the rest of the room, you know, around that, you know, stick out. So she definitely wanted to make sure painting got in the budget for some of those things to start dressing things up. But you know, most of the needs are minor here and there with the middle school. We all know, if we've been through certain areas of the middle school, a lot of the hallways towards the Orion Center, there's some sinking and stuff. Those problems haven't gotten any worse, but they exist. You know, they could present some tripping hazards and stuff. And there's still some door binding, I think, going into the Orion Center that needs to be addressed. They did fix the exterior door near one of them. That came out really good. So still watching for improvements there. Some schools, I think not Woodside, sorry, Williams Cone and Harpswell could definitely benefit from maybe some ventilation. We're starting to see, you know, some moisture where we're in this period where, heating season was a really big thing for Maine schools, and now we're starting to see more of an AC need, hit our schools. And I think that presents an issue for some of our schools that don't have air conditioning. So that would kind of stuck out in a few places. And then we visited the transportation garage as well. The buses are too big for the garage. The garage wasn't meant for the size buses we have today. And the facility's definitely aged. We have a lot of drivers all trying to use, one or two bathrooms at the same time. So, it could benefit from some upgrades there. So, but overall, it was a good tour. I appreciate Sean and Heidi's time. It's always nice to be able to talk, about the schools and needs and things like that, and see the administrators. And, we've got a great team of people. So it's nice to get out and see that. So that's all I have.
Ryan? Andy, one of the thing, I was able to be with you for most of the day. And I think as the facilities plan and the impact, Hudson, as you mentioned, and I love your thinking that this budget is foundational, but over the hill, that these are real issues. And certainly that conversation has begun. And just blue skying and going back to third grade teaching, we used to load the kids on a bus, and Melanie Page, who knew the history of Bowdoin inside and out, would give a tour. Has there any thought, how do we replicate to some degree? Because we can talk about those needs, but it was standing in those buildings when the music teacher came and had to ask us to step aside so she could wheel the ukuleles into the gym where she teaches music at Bowdenham in order to tune them all in advance of the kids. But there's might there be a way to leverage a bus and offer at some point to take community, a broader community, into, just a thought, the power of that. The 2 years I've been able to participate, it is such a powerful experience. There's no replication for being there.
And I just wanted to add, Andy, thank you for discussing the sort of relationship between sort of changes to Maine's seasonal temperatures and moisture in a building. I hadn't sort of thought about that, but a lot of times you talk about air conditioning as a comfort thing, but water is the enemy of any structure, moisture is the enemy of a structure. And it really is true that, our warmer summers and falls and springs and more humidity really is a structural problem. So I really appreciate you bringing that up, because I hadn't thought about it in that way. So thank you.
Yeah, those areas hit home with Williams Cone and Harpswell in particular. I'm not sure Harpswell was, on the mold issue or not, but there's definitely odors in older buildings. Do you address the carpets? Do you address the walls? Do you, what sort of things do you need to address? But we know the learning commons at Williams Cone could benefit from some AC, because they do have some moisture abatement needs there. But Jim brought up a great point too. I know Bowdenham feels like it's busting at the seams for space. We lost our music room. The kids do it in the gym now. But that's not uncommon with some of the other community schools. Woodside Elementary seems to have plenty of space to accommodate. It feels comfortable. It's a good learning environment. But it was interesting to just see the different community schools as you walk around. So yeah, if ever anybody has not done the tour, it's definitely worth, getting a tour at some point to see that.
All right, thank you all. Thanks for that update, Andy. Next, we have CIA from this evening.
Thanks, Ryan. You can see from the agenda, we had 4 items that we discussed in all. but there are two that I'm going to focus on that we're going to ask for a vote. We'll make a motion. The one is the first I'm going to talk about is the senior seminar course proposal at the high school. Currently in senior English, and Chris or Dr. Hoffman, if I get anything wrong, I'm glad you're still here. Currently, seniors will take English 4 full credits required for graduation. And currently, approximately somewhere we were told between 45 and 60% of the kids take a 2 semester long courses, the first being a research course, the other being an elective, which can vary around theme pretty much, which is the way it has been since a change that was instituted right around 2019 or so in order to increase engagement with the kids. The reality of senior year, and at this point, seniors step away from actual coursework with a couple weeks to go in order to focus on their Eagle project. So having a semester-long course at the end of their senior year, which should it have been a heavy-hitting snow day year, can be a significant chunk of the year, of that end of the year. So engagement can be an issue. The proposal is, by the way, the other who are not engaged in these currently 2 semester courses are either taking AP English, which is a full year course, Comp and Lit, or the SMCC English course, which is a full year course. So the proposal is to have those 2 semester courses replaced with a full year senior seminar. And it will cover the basis of research. It will cover literature. All those same components will be in there. And the final third of that will be working on the senior paper, the research, putting to work the work. One of the strengths that we were told about, which the committee understood and appreciated, is the power of relationship as being foundational to engagement. It's not just the content that a teacher puts in front of the kids. It's the long term. It's showing up, being with that same teacher through the course of the year. So that is the proposal, to replace what is currently the 2 semester long with a whole year senior seminar. That is the proposal. And in the course proposal, which is in Onboard, the details are laid out with justification, et cetera. Questions?
Do you expect that that will fully replace, as in that will be the requirement for seniors in order to accommodate the Eagles Legacy Project, or will they still have a choice to do semester-based project work?
No, that it will replace. So when the change comes, which the plan is, if approved, this would be, and Chris, check me on this, would be implemented in the fall, would be that there would then be 3 choices: AP English, the SMCC course, or the senior seminar. Other questions? If there are none, I would move that the board.
Item for this.
We have an agenda item for that. Oh, well done. Perhaps right ahead. So I'll move on. The second piece, am I doing this in the right order? Should I move on or should we vote now?
You could, no, finish up with your report and then we will take those when we get to the new business portion.
Thank you, Ryan. The second piece is a proposal to bring into play the course that'll be entitled The Basics of Cybersecurity. The rationale, there currently is a computer science course being taught. The idea is that and the foundation is serving on the cooperative board at the vocational at Region 10. And Mary, you brought this up, that we've seen this now the second year, an offering for a cybersecurity course. It's a 2-year effort, but it has been underutilized, under-enrolled. So the part that really, I'd say, lit up the committee around this is that this would have embedded in it the basics of cybersecurity, need an understanding of networking, coding, the languages involved, and more, plus. So that while it would replace a current course, it really, and if anyone who is aware of the reality of the need of cybersecurity, moves from a foundation to really put in place, Hudson, I guess I'd looking over the horizon. This ain't going away. And it provides a logical potential foundation to encourage a student from Mount Ararat to step into and take advantage of the Region 10 far deeper cybersecurity course leading towards credentials. So the committee would suggest that this be approved as well.
Excellent, thank you. Anything else? Are you all set with your?
I'm done.
All right, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Jim. Next was our one adjustment for the evening, which is the ad hoc athletic committee.
Yeah, we met on Monday and we continued our very good discussion of a new policy, JJIBA, which is the hiring and evaluation of coaches. We don't have this policy and so it was a good conversation and good concepts to think through. And we finished that up. It is going to go we'll go to the policy committee and then come back and wait for our full packet. And we are going to tackle the Booster Club.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions? All right, well, we would move to old business at this point, which we do not have any this evening. So we'll move to new business. First piece of news business is to consider action to appoint a board member to the Williams Cone Schools Title I Comprehensive Needs Assessment Committee. Heidi, can you speak to this just a little bit?
It's part of our Title I. We have to do a comprehensive needs. Am I not on? Oh, thank you. As part of our Title I programming, we have to do a comprehensive needs assessment committee. And on the agenda itself, there are some notes in there that, let's see, let me find it here. That Brem had asked to put in there, and it just talks about the times and the days. What's that?
I just realized with Brem, I said the wrong school, didn't I? It's Williams Cone, not Woodside. I apologize.
That's okay. No worries at
I
all.
paused for a second because the abbreviations always get me.
Me too, still. So anyways, we need to appoint a board member to that and so that they can be a part of that. And in the agenda, there's some times that are not set in stone yet, but are certainly there so that if people are interested, they would know what they would be looking at for a commitment.
Yeah, Mary. All right, excellent. Been nominated and seconded. I don't know that we're limited here, most likely. So if there's anybody else that's dying to participate, I think we could find room for another. Seeing none, all those in favor of Mary? Opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you very much for stepping up and doing that, Mary. It's much appreciated. Next, we have to consider action to approve yes.
Maybe. It didn't seem like he's fully.
Sounds like there's some flexibility, so they will make it work for you. So next, we will consider action to approve the creation and implementation of the English Senior Seminar course to be added to the high school. So anybody?
So moved.
Thank you. All right, it's been moved and seconded. So any additional insight you want to provide, Jim, or did anybody have any questions? Further comments or anything? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous. That's great news. I was able to sit in that meeting tonight and excited this is moving forward. So thank you. All righty. Next, we have to consider action to approve the creation and implementation of the computer science basics of cybersecurity course to be added to the high school.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. Thank.
Oh, no, it was Haley. Mary.
It was Mary and Haley. We'll go with Mary and Haley.
Mary then.
Haley. That's all right. You were up dealing with icy roads this morning, Heidi, so you're doing okay. We have not voted yet, but any discussions, comments? All right. All those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous, and Heidi made it through. All right, so that's 13.4 is to consider action to amend the contract of Amanda Johnson, Food Services Director, to increase the annual salary, and I don't have the right thing open, I'm sorry, to $92,000 effective December 11th, 2025, with all costs paid from the food service funds rather than the general fund.
Moved.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions, comments, additional information? Yeah, Hudson?
Just to clarify, my understanding, this is a adjustment to a pretty standard rate for the area for the job being done, correct?
Come up because he's done such a nice job of putting everything together. I want to steal his thunder.
Yeah, thank you. So I did a study based on all the salaries of the nutrition and food service directors in this Cumberland County, and where that was last year, the average was just below $90,000 last year in Cumberland County. So if you factor in the increase that the administrators got this year, that would bring the salary up to $92,000. But in addition, we are able to do this because Amanda Johnson's management of the program over the past couple of budget cycles, we haven't had, well, just this last one, we haven't had to take any money from the general fund and move it into food services because of strong fiscal management. We are in really good standing with the state. We're using all of their money to do impactful programs. And because of this, it's a way to really bring Amanda back into the standardization of the salaries of this position within Cumberland County.
Yeah, Mary.
I definitely support this because I think she's an outstanding food service director, and I don't think that we want to lose her, and we want to stay competitive with her salary. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous. So thank you for that work, Evan, and congratulations, Amanda, and thank you for all the work you're doing out there.
Thank you.
All right, so next up we have an agenda item that's the Facilities Master Plan Decision Roadmap. And you can see that roadmap is added to as an attachment here in onboard. And I'm going to hand it over to Heidi to kind of talk this through a little bit.
to summarize this because the full document is not only in your onboard packet, but it's also on the facilities webpage. And then posted in the link on Facebook or, through Parent Square. So if folks are out there in the community, they would like to look at it, it is all right there. So this roadmap came as an idea after all of our forums and then meeting with the facilities committee. I really needed to know, like, what does it actually take to consolidate, to reconstruct, to do all the things that we need to do with this school. And so what this plan does really is outlines the crucial data-driven initiatives to address both the immediate and long-term needs, long-term capital needs, I will say, of the district's aging school facilities. And I do want to say thank you to Andy because we do, as he said, we do take really, really good care of our schools. And the schools are in good shape, but they are sending up red flags. Sean and I spoke a lot over the last week, and today we actually talked, and I said, you know, it's like when my beeper goes off for warning me that my sugar might drop too low. It's that red flag. And I only have so much time to take care of it. And so we need to be thinking about what this looks like in the future. And so this roadmap really is helping us to identify not only the needs that we have so far, the site conditions that we've estimated over between 67.5 and 81 million, just in total necessary repair costs. And that's a big spread, but it is that high over the next 10 years. And I look at this as a gift because it's going to be a great plan to know where we need to go, when we need to do it, and how we're going to get there. And so what I did is I looked at the programmatic deficiencies and then I put in there citations. There are certain laws around any of the decisions that we have to make regarding doing anything of the consolidation, whether we need to do a reconstruction. And it's pretty much the same whether we go out to bond. It takes a bond. If we're going to go out to bond, it's going to take a community vote, but it's going to take a community vote regardless if we go out and get money for it or if it becomes part of the district's budget that we are going to build schools. And so I really wanted to just lay that out in different phases as well. So down towards the middle of it, it talks about phase 1 and how long it takes, about 12 to 18 months, just exploring the data and doing the study, which we're really well into. It also talks about who owns that. So for example, Harriman is our architect firm, and they were the ones that did that, but administration and the facilities committee, which many of you are a part of. The next phase, phase 2, it takes approximately 6 to 12 months, and these are estimates based on what other buildings and other school districts have done. I researched a lot and looked out into the state, across the state, and looked at what other people did, looked at what they were having for trouble, and then looked at all the laws, which you can go onto the Maine state website and for facilities, and you can find all of these laws there. And I've linked them into this chart as well. Phase 3, it's an estimated 3 to 6 where we actually come up with a formal proposal and an authorization. And that involves our legal, that involves our consultants, that involves myself, that involves our facilities committee and our legal committee. And it says, if it's a non-state funded project, it must be approved by the commissioner. So there's many, many, many steps in here. And this is looking about 5 years out approximately to even get to some of these things. Phase 4, it has to go out to, let me make sure I'm in the right phase. Yes, phase 4 has to go out to referendum, and that's, another 12 to 24 months. And I just thought it was really important that everybody gets to see what does it take to actually build a school, to consolidate a school, to reconstruct a school, or to close a school. Those are all those things in there. And I put all the links. Our legal team did look at this document to make sure that I had it correct. And they did a review of it, and then they sent it back and said it looked good. So it's accurate, which is nice. We don't want to put something out there that's not accurate. And then I put in there terms like, different kinds of down towards the bottom. I should have put page numbers in here. I'm sorry. Statutory compliance and community impact reporting guide. And then the steps that we're going to take. We still have a lot of work to do to bring the community in and have focus groups in each of the small towns and hear from them. And so we're going to work on that plan next and say, where are we going to go next? Next week, we have the facilities committee meeting. Harriman will be here again. We're very, very close. And Andy, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you on this. We're very, very close to getting the final draft of the whole entire master plan, which is about 1,000 pages. He's also identified about a 15-page document, we looked at that today, with all the critical needs. And again, when we say critical needs, it's critical. My beeper goes off because it's dropping too low. It's just the same thing. I got to fix it. There's some things we can fix along the way, but we're not going to get it so far that we're never going to pull back and be able to not fix the critical needs. And that's what you're looking at. Critical doesn't mean tomorrow. It just means let's get this taken care of. So in the future, we have the opportunity to fix all those things. So that's what this whole document does. You can find this on the facilities webpage. Everything's there. There's lots of links in there. There's still a link to insert questions if you want it. I'm reviewing that weekly. There's a lot of questions to answer, so it's taking me a little bit more time to research and find the correct answers for those, but I am doing that. Sean and I are doing that. Harriman is helping us with that. So there's probably about 100 questions on there right now, but hopefully some of this document helps that. So that's it.
I will just want to quickly thank Heidi for all the work that you put into this coming out of the third community forum. I think our takeaway for me anyway, was that we needed to do a little bit better job of providing information for the public to see where we were in this process and where it was. And there's a significant amount of work ahead of us, but work has begun to figure out what we're going to do. I'll be honest, I was expecting a couple of pages in the discussions Heidi and I had, and you can see how thorough this document is. It does not answer everything, but at least it starts to say, here's where we are, here's where we need to get to, here's a little bit of the guardrails that are going to help us get there. And now there's a lot of work ahead of us to figure it out. So a very long way to go, but I'm grateful for the effort that you put into this to help inform the community. So I see a few hands going up. So I'm going to start here with Andy, then I'll work my way around. And so Andy.
No, ditto to Ryan's message. Thank you, Heidi, for laying that out. It's going to answer a lot of our community members' questions with the transparency about the process and what the roadmap looks like. And the thought that kept going through my brain is, much as we're all attached to our community schools and people fear consolidation, it also made me realize that everybody that's talking about those options now, their kids will likely have moved on to middle school by the time anything happens with this. Not that it isn't applicable to current populations, but it's just going to be interesting as we navigate, because it takes several years to get a design vetted. It takes a couple of years to construct, but it also has a significant upfront, timeline just to get to the design phase. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, Kim.
So the deliverable that you're expecting from Harriman next week is it sort of some sort of concatenation that's part of phase one? Because you're using the term master plan, but it's not like it's going to be the plan that this is what we're doing. It's that it is the conclusion or maybe some mid-phase step, just a phase one. There's still more exploration to do, right, with phases 2 and 3 to get it to the place where the committee is prepared to make a formal proposal to the full board. Okay, I just was testing my own understanding. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Hudson.
This is an amazing document, Heidi. Thank you. And like Andy said, from a public perspective, there's really a lot of value in what the next 5 to 7 years are going to look like as far as this stuff goes. I also really appreciate, even though this is not the final deliverable that Kim was just mentioning, identifying that sort of top line number of roughly $70 to $80 million that they're estimating our district will need to spend on facilities in the next 10 years. And I just wanted to give the extra context of I bring up this document all the time, but the Governor's Commission on School Construction, that's been going on for a year or two. They had an interim summary published in April of this year. I'm not sure when the final summary will come out, probably April of next year, but the interim summary came out, and I'll just read 2 sentences. Of Maine's 600 schools, approximately 500 will require replacement or renovation and modernization in the next 20 years. Conservatively, the cost is estimated at $11 billion. That's a lot of money. That's statewide. But if you take that 500 schools, you divide it by $11 billion, that's roughly $22 million per school. That is very much in the range of what we're talking about. Obviously, that's not exactly how any one project would go, but we're well in line with what the statewide data is suggesting. We're not outlying. And I think the more that we can be planning ahead, the better prepared we will be, given that we're all going to be in this situation.
All right, Amy?
Just really quickly, I want to confirm, we are meeting with Harriman on, it's Tuesday next week. Yeah. For anyone who's looking, it's not on the calendar. It's not on the board calendar, but I'll just say it again. We're meeting, Facilities Committee's meeting next Tuesday.
Thank you for catching that.
Is that at 5?
5 o'clock.
Amy, was that 5 o'clock on Tuesday, the 16th? Did I hear that correctly?
That is a good question. I believe it's in this room. Is that wrong?
While you were looking that up, I'm going to thank Gregory for his patience because I think his hand went up first, but he's had to wait this whole time.
Thank you, Ryan.
Well, I'll have it here for you in a minute because I know we saw it in an email, so we'll get it out here and update everybody here momentarily.
So,
Gregory.
Andy, I'm looking at the slide deck presentation, and the one with the colors reminds me of playing Uno. The yellow and the red and the green. And I see like that some schools have critical needs in the red. For example, Harpswell has plumbing. So I'm just like, I think the public might ask this question in terms of like, you see the timeline says 2030, but what if the plumbing system or any of these other critical needs require action before we figure out what we're doing in 2030? So that's my question is like, will some of these colors change because we would have been required to fix something before 2030? Do you get the gist of my question?
Yeah, and I don't have a good answer for all of the items, but like I mentioned before, we do a relatively decent job taking care of our schools, and making sure they're serviceable. Where they still age, right? And we're dealing with fire down the road. Do you kick that can to do something about the old school? A lot of things that are being considered are modern day space needs compared to when the school was actually built and the space needs at that time. Also building systems, like you said, plumbing. Is it still serviceable? Well, you can still get copper pipe and but the boiler and the ventilation and the, modern needs now for those systems, are they the same? Are the electronics that run those systems the same? Do you have to source your parts on eBay? Just, because they're so dated. So, Sean is starting to run into some of those issues where he can't service some of our equipment. And so he does have a good handle on which of those systems that he can limp by until we need to do a major overhaul of a building or replacement. But yeah, we've been taking care of those systems as we need to, or as it becomes a priority. So you'll see some things on CIP that come through, or capital maintenance. It's like a boiler replacement or a water heater replacement, or a air handling unit. Sean's put us on notice about some dated heat pumps at the middle school. That whole system, he's applied for a revolving fund to deal with that as well. So it's not a one size fits all with the color coding of the dots. Like Heidi mentioned, some of these are ADA concerns, so they're going to have a big red dot because we're not compliant with ADA. So we have to address it. A lot of those things, when you touch a building, you need to update to today's standards. but you're sort of grandfathered, and this isn't a one-size-fits-all answer either, but you're sort of grandfathered until that building gets modified and you need to address it. So, you know, that's why it's a big red spotlight's being shined on some of our aging systems, is because they're so dated that you just don't do things like that anymore. Does that am I answering your question?
Basically saying that we'll take care of it as the need arises. And I think it's interesting that it's a 5-year plan. I mean, it makes sense that it's 5 years, but I think the community might have been thinking this is going to happen next year. And I think that's just to be emphasized that it's a very deliberate process, 5 years.
Well, and I don't think it's 5 years for every single project on the list. It's just like it's any one project sort of has 5 years of work before it's finalized. Is that correct, Andy?
So if you take each component in the critical needs list that Harriman has developed, they are suggesting that you need to address these things in 0 to 5 years or 5 to 10 years, or they're trying to give you a time frame. It doesn't mean that that's definitely when it needs to be done, it's going to fail, or, you know, we're going to get a violation or anything. It's meant to be a guideline. So if we're saying that there are, you know, a pile, call it $10 million worth of 0 to 5 year needs at one school, well, maybe that school is the one that's going to get slated for replacement or, you know, consolidation, whatever the answer is. So it may take 7 years to get there. So we'd still limp that school by, you know, but it doesn't mean that we would take care of all those 0 to 5 year needs because we're going to address it when the school gets rebuilt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Kim.
I have very limited knowledge about the system of seeking state funding for school construction or renovation projects. But how far into the phases do we need to be before the district can put ourselves on the list? The deli counter, that I know it's a very long list of projects.
It's a really long list, but the first part to the list, to getting on the list, was to complete an audit of what you need, your needs assessment. So we've done that with the report. So we can put in the hopes that we get on the list sooner. But so you don't need to make any decisions about what you're going to do with each of your schools, but you can start to apply for those funds.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That was a great question. Just wanted to make sure the board understood also that with the needs and the application process to get on the state's list for funding, there's a couple of different answers. We could say, hey, we need to update 5 schools, and we're going to apply for funding to update those 5 schools. Or it could be consolidation. And each of those answers had different implications on how you rank with the state funding. If you consolidate schools, you rank higher, you know, so that's something we have to consider as well.
Yeah, that's
One of the things we talked about at the finance committee meeting, exactly along those lines, was RSU 1, right? So they had a elementary school burned down in Bath several years ago, and then they just got approved for a replacement project like last month. And part of that approval is they're consolidating an existing school as they rebuild the old one, right? And so that took several years and is contingent on consolidation. The other thing I was just going to add is there's several bills in the legislature to try and address the construction fund. There's, Gregory was pointing some out that we looked at finance. There's some others that I've seen on the MSBA. And so there's lots of attempts to try and up those dollar amounts. But I mean, it's like the state says, we got 150 million for all the school needs for this year. Let's see how we disperse it. And usually it's 2 or 3 projects like Mount Ararat that cost $47 million or whatever, and that's that 150 million gone. So even the attempts to increase it by 50 or 100 million, they don't go very far. So to Andy's point, there's a lot of real consideration that's got to go in on how we want to attack these projects and what funding will be available as a result.
And I'm going to make a real quick plug for our January 6th board workshop in which Robbie Feinberg's coming to help us with legislative advocacy. And we will ask for a little bit of a spin on this too, to help inform us how we can do anything we can to help improve our chances of support. So, yeah, Bart.
Yeah, I just wanted to, again, throw some praise your way, Heidi, about the roadmap. I do think that's super informative and important to get in front of the public. Met with, both Gregory and I met with a small group of folks last night, none of whom who have kids in the district. But some folks from Harpswell who were asking about this, we're just giving them a brief update. They are just wanting to make sure that the communication is as communicative as possible about any of these community forums that we have as we move forward. And we can talk about this in facilities committees as we're planning those and whatnot of how we can get the word out. But I just think that's super important that we, in this process, are making sure that we are as inclusive as possible in getting people's opinions. I think when we're talking about community schools in particular, those schools serve many different purposes beyond educating our children, as we know, and their community buildings, their sort of focal points in our community, and are used and sort of thought of as an important community building well beyond folks who have kids in those schools. So I just want to make sure that we're trying to reach out to all populations of folks, in our communities. We are having those conversations because everybody wants to be involved with it, as they should be. I did my plug for them was, don't be alarmed by this master planning process. It's going to take some time, and our goal really is to get as much community input as humanly possible, and for the decisions to really be stemming from the community, not from a facilities committee or just this board, right? That we really want people to be involved. So don't be alarmed, but be engaged. So if you care about this, stay engaged. So that's my message to folks. That's my message to folks. Wherever that camera is.
Well communicated, Bart. Very communicative. Thank you.
Communicative communication. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything? All right. Thank you for the input on that. Again, thanks for all that work, Heidi. And we look forward to a lot of work ahead of us on this one. So, do you have a confirmed time, place, location, everything for the facilities committee meeting on the 16th at 5 o'clock? And it's
well, it's in room 88 unless something else was bumped, but I think that was our room, not
Okay.
in here, because I think there's something else happening in here. So room 88, and if that is a change tomorrow with something, I will inform and communicate with everybody.
the word of the night. Thank you. All right, so next we have just our calendar and announcements. The calendar is reasonably accurate, and we got the additional updates here, so hopefully with those it's fully accurate. We have no executive sessions planned for this evening, so with that, we are adjourned.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Yes, it is never too late.
Okay, because you did the gavel thing.
I did, but I will take it back.
Do you have any insight for the board about which, I know that we have the January 6th workshop on our calendar. Do you expect to use these remaining workshop dates, or is that a work in progress, or?
That's a slight work in progress. I will say this, we're months moving forward. The intent will be to have one workshop and one board meeting a month.
Oh, right.
So we currently have on the calendar, we have 2 board meetings held for most months except February, I think, in spring. If I'm just kind of talking here, so I could be misspeaking, but I'm pretty sure we have 2 most every month plus a workshop on the calendar. We will likely, and I welcome feedback on this, drop the workshop dates and use one of the 2 board meeting scheduled dates. as a workshop. Currently, our policies say we need to have two board meetings a month, or then they dictate the Thursdays in which those happen. So we want to make sure we meet those policies. So that's why we would use those dates and have potentially a very brief meeting, official board meeting. But then that evening would really be focused on the workshop. So that might have confused you more, but
So you're saying probably Thursdays?
probably hold what's listed as board meetings for the remaining, have that, and the workshop meetings will be coming off.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, and we are out of here. Thank you.